Sacking, retaining carp is a little bit of a contentious issue. It's not allowed on a number of fisheries, but there are also legitimate reasons why you might need to retain a carp for a short period of time. Sometimes fishery managers want to have a little look at a fish, particularly if it needs treating for something, or if it's a notable fish, they might just want to see it and get good photographic records of it. Done correctly, I don't believe sacking is hugely dangerous, but you do need to take care. And one of the things that I'm really pleased with in the Wychwood range that's new is the H-block marker sack. And that just adds a huge element of security and safety and almost a comfort zone if you are going to sack a fish for a short period. It's very, very free flow sacking material, so very, very good water exchange, which means that your carp's going to get plenty of dissolved oxygen. He's not going to struggle. It's going to take the biggest carp in the world pretty well. This fella's not quite 40 pound, but if he was, he would still fit in there quite handsomely. Once you've got him in the sack, make sure his fins are folded down as best you can. He's still a little bit tense. We'll sort him out in a minute. Zip him up. The key feature of the H-block marker sack is once you're zipped in position, there's a little clip, okay? Clip it together. And inside the pocket on the sack, you'll find, as the name suggests, an H-block marker, okay? That's permanently attached now to the sack, so it means if you ever did have a real disaster where a carp got away in a sack, that carp is essentially condemned to death unless you find it, okay? And the only way that you can make sure that if the worst was to happen, you're going to be able to find that fish easily is attach a great big high-vis flotation device to it. It's the sort of thing that is never realistically going to happen to most people, but if you've got that in place as a precaution, you just have that little bit of comfort that you've got a bit of a belt and brace. And you know, for the sake of having a little H-block on your sack, it just means that if you're going to retain a carp, you have that peace of mind. On the sack itself, there's a 30-foot cord, which is plenty long enough, which means you can get him or her in nice and deep water, down a marginal shelf, so they're not baking in shallows in a couple of foot of water in August. You need them to be somewhere settled, deep, on the bottom, quite happy, and they will lie there quite happily, certainly for a couple of hours. So we're going to get this little fella in. Just make sure his fins are flush to the body before we pick him up as best we can. Okay, unravel the H-block as much as you like, but the beauty of the H-block is it will unravel itself. So if a carp were to escape, then that will follow it, and there's so much cord on there that even if you're fishing in a bottomless pit, that's still going to be popping to the top. So that shows us where he is. Then your cord, the other thing to be very careful of, you never ever want to risk losing a carp in a sack. Make sure you've got a very, very firmly rooted bank stick that's just knotted to it with a 5-turn grinner. And then as a bit of a belt and brace approach, for the sake of a few seconds, once that's secure, I always stick a peg in, wrap it round a knot a few times, and then you've just got, if you like, double strength to root in there. That carp's going to be fine there for a couple of hours if he needs to be. In most cases you don't need to retain carp, but if you do, retain him as safely as you can, and the H-block marker system makes that much, much safer than ever before.